As you may know, we are in this digital age where we have a long range of different information we can access and apply it to our brains to increase our knowledge and share what we have learned with others. So, with a little typing and some clicking, we can reach the information we need. Maybe you're trying to learn a new skill, whether it's cooking, gym exercises, DIY projects, etc., right? It all starts with the two words how to. How to ride a bike, how to braid your hair, or even something super basic like how to use an oven. Well, no need to worry. I know a guy named Ben Beirreuge, and he is a well rounded artist who takes some of your favorite characters you know and basically puts them into his art project that contains instructional how to guides of different things. Let me share some examples, such as how to do a judo throw with Spider Man and Spooder Man. Step 1, pull the opponent forward with a collar and sleeve grip. Step 2, swap your collar grip to an opposite side. Undercook while turning your torso to get ready and load your opponent on your shoulder, and push forward while pulling their shoulder downwards. And another one of Ben's examples, one of his projects, is how to do a farmer's carry using the character Batman. First off, posture, shoulders shrugged and retracted, and your movement is going to be the walk that's kind of sturdy, keep you balanced while you're lifting. But besides the instructional drawings, Ben has a large range of projects he has created, from graphic design to digital comic pages, illustrations, and he even created his own book with his instructional how-to drawings. But what do I always say? No more spoilers for now, so stay tuned for my amazing conversation with the one and only Ben, where we will cover the why to what he does as an artist and even get to see some of his physical art portfolio. Hey there, Arma here. Welcome to a brand new Armavation conversation. Today we got an amazing visual designer and illustrator in the house. He has a huge portfolio of instructional based drawings, teaching many how to do certain moves or actions using some cartoon characters most of us grew up watching. So please give it up for the one and only Ben. And Ben, please say your last name for me. I do not want to mess it up.
Baruch.
Baro, okay. What
Baruch.
Barouge.
That's
Just
not my last name, by the way. It's an alias.
okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, just what he said, guys. So thanks, Ben, for being here. We kind of scheduled this conversation a little short notice, but I'm glad we were able to set time aside to do this. So glad you're here.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me. I always wanted to do something like this, so this
Awesome,
is a good start.
awesome. So before we get started, I always like to ask my guests, from human to human, how has life been for you? Do you have any highlights you want to share?
It's been pretty chill so far. I'm just setting up some stuff for myself because I got some plans this year, so I'm just kind of getting all that ready. Um, with art and work, saving up money and stuff.
Okay, awesome. All right, so
Cool.
yeah, let's just not waste time. Let's get into it. With your artistic background. Uh, so with your background story as an artist, I know on your personal website you mentioned you've been working in the art field with many people for like 8 years, including like your enrollment in school. With your art education experience, and you mentioned you have your bachelor's in fine arts degree with graphic design. So take us down memory lane and share how like initially you became an artist. Like how old were you when you started drawing or illustrating things? What was your experience like? What made you want to take illustration more serious?
My earliest memory is probably 5 years old. I can't really remember. Around that age, I remember drawing some type of weird animal like a cat, and that was like the one drawing I did around that time. And the next drawing was like probably 3 years later. So I think when I first drew, it wasn't really anything I thought of. I just kind of did it to pass the time, scribbling,
Hmm.
like most kids do.
Right.
And then the next drawing after that was like years later in like second grade, where I saw a kid drawing a motorcycle, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I tried copying him. And then from then on, I was just kind of like copying things I thought was cool. At that point, it wasn't really like drawing. I was just kind of tracing or you know, copying from eye to eye. I guess that's the way to say it.
Hmm.
And I think around third grade, I met this one kid who used to love like drawing Dragon Ball Z. So I would like ask him how do I do this, how do I do that, and I learned a couple of things from him. And I think from that point on, I kind of like started actually practicing anatomy and um, perspective, different mediums, painting, using markers, and from then on, it kind of just like skyrocketed, trying different things. I would say I used to draw a lot of stick figure comics with my friends back then. One of my friends, I'm still really cool with him now. That was another phase in my art. What's the word? My art. Give me the word here. I don't know, like it's like right at the tip of my tongue, but I can't say it. My art
Your
career, I
yeah,
guess,
your
or
art career
progression.
journey. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, journey. That's the word. My
Mm.
art journey. So drew a cat. That was my very first drawing. Never thought anything about it. I was just doodling like a kid. 3 years later, drew a motorcycle and then started copying different things I thought was cool. Another year later, I met the kid with the Dragon Ball Z that loved Dragon Ball Z, and I started doing like anatomy and stuff like that. And then after that, I started doing a bunch of stick figure comics. I don't know if you know these people, but back then, like probably like 10 years ago, there used to be this one YouTube account where they used to draw or they used to animate different stick figure fights, and I loved watching their videos. So I would try to copy them and do my own stick figure fights.
Oh,
So
okay.
that
I
was the
know.
next phase.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
think it
them.
was called Juan Dojo Hwaions or HYAN Dojo. They're
Okay.
probably still doing it now.
Okay. Okay.
But that was the next phase, stick figure comics. And then after that was like portraits, like drawing realistic people. So I started getting more advanced and like more realistic after that point.
Mm.
And then people would like ask me to draw on their shoes, draw on their folders. Um at some point I was like hand making some books. It was still like the stick figure style, but I would like write little stories on them and then illustrate whatever's happening in the scene. And then from there, I got into digital art. So before all that, it was just like kind of on paper, whatever I could find really, notebooks, paper, copy paper. And then eventually I think it was an iPod. I still didn't have an iPad yet to be able to draw on a full screen, but I got an iPod and I would do this thing where I would draw on a sketchbook first, like a rough sketch of whatever I wanted to do, take a picture of the sketchbook, and then trace it on my iPod. Because I didn't have a pen yet, so I had to kind of zoom in and then do my best with that.
Yep.
And eventually I got an iPad, and from then on, you probably see all of that on my account, like
Mm.
2016, I guess, or 2018. And yeah, that's the rest of the story.
Okay. And so when did you initially start? Like, what was your first few posts on your Instagram? 2016.
First few was 2016. I was like, I think I posted like a project from one of my art classes. It
Okay.
was a dragon. It might still be. I think it's up. I don't think I archived that. All of these posts are like within the last 2 years too, I think.
Could you kind of describe and compare the two, like the two different experiences you had with, just drawing on your own, like being more self-taught, and then like, learning art education in school?
Um, it's there's not really a difference. Art school doesn't really teach you how to draw.
Mm.
Like I don't know how to explain it. Like they'll give you the project so you can practice. They kind of give you like a schedule or a structure, but they don't teach you how to draw. If you go in there thinking they're gonna teach you, you won't get anywhere.
Wow.
Like you have to really put the work in on outside of class to actually learn. A lot of the things that I did in class, I already did them outside of class anyway. So it kind of felt like I was continuing whatever I was already doing. I guess some certain classes, like maybe like foundational classes, they'll be like, "Oh, how do you draw?" They'll teach you how to use different medium, not really how to draw. I think that's the best way to say it.
Okay. 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 So you have to have at least some type of experience
Yeah,
before.
you still need to.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, do you think colleges should teach students how to draw, like have like beginner classes, or do you think that would be a waste of their budget?
I'm trying to figure out like the best way to answer that. I don't think colleges were meant to like actually teach you the skills in the first place.
Mm,
That's what
okay.
I realized after graduating. It's more of like for exploring different ways to use a skill that you already have or you're already practicing on.
Okay, got
So
you.
like let's say for me, I was already deep into my own art practices. Going to college taught me different ways I could apply those skills, not really like teach me how to use the skills in the first place, or
Mm,
teach me the
okay.
skills in the first place. Yeah,
Okay. But
and
okay.
I guess there are some classes that they teach you kind of like more basic stuff, like how to do line strokes, how to shade, how to learn anatomy, perspectives. There's classes where they show you that, but beyond that point, it's all up to you to kind of keep practicing and keep getting better.
Okay. Okay. And speaking on like practicing drawing when you were a beginner artist, what struggles did you face or have to overcome to get to the level of expertise you are currently at now?
Hands, like most people struggle with. I think hands is like one of the hardest anatomical things to learn because there's so many little details that you got to get right, and the way to make it look convincing, you have to learn a bunch of different things about your hands. That was
Mm,
like the hardest part. And then after that, it would be anatomy in general because you have to actually learn the different muscles or how the muscles look in space, or if you're rotating it in space, how to draw it in different angles. That was kind of hard. That was hard. That was a hard part of the process. What else? Painting was a hard medium to pick up because you have to be patient with it. You can't really like rush painting. And maybe one of the hardest is like perspective because it takes years to really learn how to see things in a three-dimensional matter. Like once you learn all those, so anatomy, perspective, coloring might be like the last step to really put it all together. How
oh,
light works, how to make things look more in depth, um, how to color properly. So yeah, those were the three hardest things: anatomy, perspective, and coloring. And that's basically all of art, honestly. Once you learn those three, you're set to do anything.
just to clarify for people that don't know, what mediums do you work on currently, and then like what tools or software programs are you using to get your artwork completed?
My favorite to use right now is um ink and brush or a dip pen. I don't know if you know what a dip pen is. Is there a way to like share or show something on here? Do you know
Yes.
those little metal nibs that those old people used to use, like where they dip
Right.
the
Mm-hmm.
pen into that one? I love using that because it's just the way it feels when you're drawing is like very tactile. And
Okay.
then the drawing brushes that Asian artists are really known to use, like do you know Kim Jung Ji? I think is his name.
Yes,
He
yeah.
uses
Yeah.
he uses brushes, and the thing I like about that is like once you get used to using brush and ink, it feels you could draw very fast. Like it feels very convenient. You don't have to continue. You don't have to keep switching to different pencils with different thicknesses. You kind of just make the different thicknesses based on how hard you press with the brush.
Okay.
So I like that about that. It feels fluid. The whole process feels fluid.
Mm.
Um, that's more of the traditional. Oh, ballpoint pen, blue ballpoint pens are fun to use. Um, I don't really use pencil like that because I don't like the smudging, but I'll get into that more later, probably. And what I use the most now is just my iPad and Procreate. It's just more convenient. All the colors in one spot, all different, different virtual pens and brushes. But that's more for like me when I'm producing a lot of work, not really like for fun. I like doing the traditional stuff when I want to just kind of relax and self therapy type of thing.
Like, how would you describe like your overall theme or your art style to someone who's unfamiliar with your work?
My overall theme. Right now on Instagram, I'm kind of known for the fighting and martial arts stuff
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like tutorials, I guess. But I'm trying to expand more into physical activities in general, um where it's not just fighting, it's like different activities you could do to have fun or pass time or be outside more and like kind of, be more in nature, that type of stuff. I'm trying to expand more into that. And I want to post more comics, like storytelling.
Mm.
I've always kind of had that goal for like the past few years. I've done one comic before, but I stopped halfway, and I keep like starting and stopping. But I want to like have a full on run for this year.
Because
Um,
I do notice like you do like some gym routine instructional stuff too, which those are cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me ask you, from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how would you rate yourself as an artist?
1 to 10, 10 being the best. Um, I'll say I'm an 8 right now.
Okay, okay, awesome.
An 8.
Okay.
And I feel like I could get to a 9 once I basically what I'm doing now, trying to like set up my goal, like personal brand. Once I get those set up and have like a specific theme that people will, immediately as soon as they see it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's him." I think I'll get to a 9.
Okay, gotcha. Kind of like how with like Marvel and DC, like what it is when you see it. So,
Yeah, you immediately know because they have a certain look to it.
hmm
Yeah, yeah.
even like the Simpsons, like the big.
Yeah, it has that style. They
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
specific style where it's just like, yep, that's the Simpsons, that's DC, that's
Mhm.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Even some artists in the community now, when you see their style, you're like, yep, that's them. Uh, It's kind of like that with me now, but I want to like hone in more into like a specific thing, you know?
Yeah, it takes. I know that like that's not easy when you think about it. Like where your art gets to the point where like if someone even draws like something similar to your theme or brand, they're like, oh, your drawing looks like this artist's work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. All right, I want to get Ben. I want to get more into your art portfolio and your social media page, right? So, uh, with every artist, they're inspired by something or someone. Is there anything or anyone that has had an influence on the way you draw or why you draw the things you create?
There's a few artists actually. I already mentioned one of them being Kim Jung Ji. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I love the way he does line art and perspective in general. I'm pretty sure you've seen his work. His stuff is
Yeah.
just crazy.
Mhm.
That's one. There's another artist that his name is Manny O. Yeah, that's another one.
Okay.
MANNY.OE. Manny O. And what I love about his work is he every single thing he draws or posts is like you could feel the story that it's telling. He's really good at perspective. He's honestly he's good at everything. You just gotta look at his work to see what I mean. I love his work.
Okay.
But
Okay.
basically, anybody who's like super good at perspective to the point where they can like start warping it, those are like the type of guys I look at.
Based on your IG page, we hinted at this before, but what's truly the inspiration behind you creating these how-to instructions for different martial art moves, boxing, workout routines using cartoon characters? Do you believe that by using famous or well-known cartoon characters, it will allow viewers to appeal more or find the instructions more relatable in a way? Like where is this all coming from?
Well, the martial arts and exercise stuff is because that's those are things I do myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I see the benefits from learning how to fight and exercising. So it's something I want to share with everybody else, so at least they could try and see if they could get anything out of that.
Mm.
So that's one reason. And then I combine that with the popular characters because I know how the algorithm works, and they need for you to actually get your stuff seen out there. You kind of have to play the game and use things that are already popular. So I mix them together, and you know, and it's been working because honestly, the posts where I combine popular characters with the fighting, they always do great.
Mm.
And even in the comments, not even just in numbers, like you get a bunch of like blah blah blah. I don't really care about that part.
Mm.
Even in the comments, I'll see people that would say like, "Oh, I tried this, this, and that, blah blah blah," and they're like actually enjoying the things that I'm showing them. So that's something that's always like rewarding about it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then that goes back into the thing of me like trying to expand it into other activities that maybe people could do because maybe not everyone likes to fight or lift weights. So I'm trying to find other things I could do in the same exact way where they would enjoy doing it as well. Like maybe like how to ride a bike. That's another idea I had, or how to um you get the gist. Just different activities in general.
Would you ever think about doing like how to with like cooking if you're into that?
Definitely, because I'm about to start learning some murals myself, so I gotta put some art out there.
Yeah, yeah, those instructional images you put out are definitely eye catching because you see you Deadpool like choking out Spider Man. You're like, what's going on? So
Yeah, yeah,
so that
catches your attention,
right.
and and of course, one thing I try to keep in mind every time I'm doing that is I can't overly depend on like popular characters. So I try to insert my own characters in there as well. Because one, if you just do only popular characters, eventually the people will only come because of the popular characters, and then they
Right.
don't really. As soon as you stop doing that, they kind of leave. So you got to keep it balanced.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. I feel like one of the scary things I feel like for artists is balancing, who you are, what makes you unique compared to like putting out stuff that's trending and stuff like that. Because too much of either or, like you
Yeah,
said, you gotta play
starts
the
falling
game.
apart.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's what you have to find ways to like make it your own. I think
Hmm.
one artist mentioned to me, I don't know who said this to me, but it's something about like I think it might have been, yeah, I don't remember, but it's talk about like, I'm not sure if you heard of Meat Canyon, but it's like how when
Yeah,
people see his videos, like they go to it because it's like Meat Canyon, like cuz his style and like
yeah.
how
He has a specific humor, very specific humor. He has a very specific style, and then
right.
the way he tells the stories is all like neat canon. But even then, he also includes popular things, so it's like a
Mm,
perfect mix of both.
that's true. That's true. Definitely. Okay, so
And
yeah.
that's the goal. That's the whole goal for me too.
You have so many like mediums of art, within graphic design and in the illustration field as well. You do music art covers, portrait art, fan art, commissions, ad covers, and much more. So how do you balance all of these different avenues or projects you have? Like, how do you decide what to work on next? How are you managing your mental health between working, side hustles, hobbies, networking? It seems you have a lot on your plate.
Dude, I couldn't tell you. I'm pretty sure I'm autistic. I haven't gotten tested yet, but I kind
Yeah.
of just it feels like that's just how my brain works. Like I just hop from thing to thing, and it just works like that for me.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I gotta be doing something,
Right.
and having multiple different like mediums in art keeps me busy in that way. I'll draw one day, I'll draw on my iPad one day, draw on my sketchbook the next. I'll paint, I'll sew, I will go fight. I'm always hopping on from hobby to hobby,
Mhm.
and it just works out, I guess. And I mean, the one thing I do that does keep me kind of organized is like I have a system for each little hobby, like kind of like a schedule, I guess. And I just kind of like rotate through them
Mm.
to keep myself busy. So I always know, like okay, that's next. If I'm bored today, I'll do that next. If I'm bored tomorrow, I'll do that.
Mm.
And each thing, I don't know, it's kind of weird to explain, but even with my drawing, I have a specific step by step way I do it, so it doesn't feel like I'm all over the place. Like if I pick up a drawing right now, I already have a template for it, so it's like my brain's not really doing anything, and it's automatic.
Well, that's good. Like you have so many options, and like I mentioned, like avenues you could go to. I mean, that's a good thing because there are a lot of people like that where, what truly gets them out of bed and what fuels them is just doing what they love to do. You know,
Hmm.
and for some people, like they have stuff they like to do, but it could be draining to them if they get too much exposure from it. But everyone's different, right? So it's good that you have different opportunities and options going for you. So that's what matters.
Yeah, yeah. I can't just stick to one thing because, like you said, eventually, if it's just one thing at all, it starts feeling very what's that word?
Very like,
Stagnant, I guess.
yeah.
Stagnant,
Mhm.
boring, and then it kind of loses that spark. So I like to switch it up every so often between things. So while I'm doing this, by the time I get tired of it, I'm like, oh yeah, I could go back and do this. And then by the time I get tired of that, I'll go back to the other thing. So it's always like a up and down type of thing.
So I want to transition to talking about the other Instagram artists you're familiar with within your network, right? So you've had collaboration projects such as the Busta 24 and the Goober Rico case that you participated in, and
Hmm.
I've talked to Nas about the Rico his perspective on the Rico case project. But can you share what your experience was like working on the Rico case drawing and the Busted 24 projects with multiple artists such as, Nas, 3 Image, Gotham, Felly, and Corey, and the others?
Damn, we did three of those? I thought it was only two collabs. Okay, so for the Rico case one, I'm pretty sure Nas, he was, because he follows this one guy named Tito Color,
Hmm.
and Tito was the one that originally did this type of concept where it was multiple people taking what do you call those pictures where you go to jail?
Mugshots, yeah.
Yeah, taking mugshots. So he originally did that with his own little group or his own art group. And Nas saw that he was like, "Oh, this is lit." And he brought it to our group chat because we have our own thing, and we decided, all right, let's all do the same thing. And I think we all separately did our files, made them PNGs, and maybe it was Nas that put them all together. I think. Yeah, he's the one that took all the files and put them into one to make it look like how it came out. So that's how that collab went. And for the Buster 24 one, after we did the Rico case, the next year after, or a couple of months after, I guess, we were like, all right, let's do our next collaboration. And for this one, I was the one that put it together. So I did like the sketch and layout for everybody. I positioned their characters the way they wanted it, and then I passed that file around to everyone, and they kind of just drew over whatever position that we all decided on.
Okay.
And after they all did that, they passed it back to me to like do the final edits to make sure everything looked good or cohesive, and that's how that went.
Okay. How did you enjoy working with them? How was the chemistry?
We've had surprisingly the chat we have the art chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's been alive for like 3 years. I don't know how. We thought it would have been broke apart and died out, but I guess we enjoy being in the chat,
Mm-hmm.
and it was pretty smooth doing the collaborations because we know we already have a system where somebody does the sketch and layout. We all pick a number for the positions that's in the composition. Everybody does their separate file, sends it to one person, and just all gets put together.
Okay. Awesome.
Sometimes we a bit longer because some people draw slower or faster than each other, and that might kind of make it slower. But other than that, it works out pretty fine.
Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. I really liked that one because of all you guys' different art styles. But yeah.
Yeah, the different styles all together.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I'm glad that
Hmm.
everything worked out with that. Because you guys seem to have a great network and you guys are all supportive of each other, so that's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, Ben. I wanna go into. I always do this with every artist. I wanna talk about my top three favorite drawings of yours, and I want you to help me, you know, discuss your thought process and analyze some of these. So yeah, let me start with the first one. It's gonna be post number 155. You named it Doodle.
Oh, that one? That one is terrible. I hate that.
What? Oh
All
man.
right, go ahead. You go ahead and explain to me why you did this because I thought that was trash. That was just something I did quickly to post.
Really? Like I said, first I'm going with post number 155. You named it Doodle. I love the message to this drawing because it's about how you mentioned just wanting to doodle for fun and draw what you feel, right? And so, I was gonna ask you based on this post, why do you think artists can sometimes forget, the beauty and being in the moment when it comes to creativity? And is this something that you currently struggle with?
Not at all. I kind of just draw to draw. I got over that hump a
Okay.
while ago, but it is definitely something that artists struggle with here and there because, like, especially with social media, because it gets to a point where it feels like you're just drawing to post. It doesn't like you're not doing it for yourself anymore. You're just posting so you get the numbers up, get your following up, and it's like we lost sight of what we started drawing for in the first place. I feel like as a kid when you started drawing, most artists start drawing as a kid. You're just doing it to kind of like please yourself, get in your imagination and kind of like escape reality in a way. And we lose sight of that once we start worrying about social media or doing it for somebody else.
True,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, but I'm surprised. I really like that one. At least I definitely like the message behind
I
it.
like the message. I like the message, but the drawings themselves are like terrible. It's garbage.
So for the second one, I'm gonna pick post number 108, and I think that this was it was a cliffhanger. You had a little cliffhanger story about a character you named Aquarius, right? So um,
The Aquarius, yeah, yeah.
So the short description, I like how you made it was very clever. As you know, within the African American community, there's a reality that there's a risk of violence, among the youth. So, uh, you put in your description like how DeQuarius is minding his business, fulfilling his duties near his ops location, and just so happen he gets found. Uh, he gets found in the op with the op, while he's doing his duties, and he got found by a op that he had online beef with prior to. So, what made you create this scenario, and why did you decide to lead the viewers to, decide what could have possibly happened to the Aquarius?
I think I was just in the mood of like telling the story around this time, but I
Okay.
don't really, I can't really remember honestly. There's some posts that I do where it's like whatever inspired me at that moment. I probably looked at like a random picture or like I saw somebody pass by me and I thought of the story
Mm.
and I just did it.
Okay.
So there's not any deeper meaning to this other than that I was having fun creating a little story.
Mm.
That's really it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's why. Yeah, I think around this time, I'm trying to like go deep, deep back into my memory here because this was like 2 years ago. I think I saw this gun. It was an FN pistol, something. I forgot the exact name. And then I thought of the story after seeing that pistol. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. 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 I was thinking it was coming from like where maybe experience in your situation where you know in your community, anything, if you saw like violence or anything like that, and you kind of just wanted to like express it from that perspective. So I wasn't too sure, but it's good to know the true meaning behind it. Okay.
That idea sounds cooler. That you could say it like that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just
No,
add that
I
too.
don't think I've never really been into any situations like that.
Mhm.
Fortunately, I have seen that a lot, or at least I've like on social media. So maybe that kind of inspired it a little bit. But at the time, it was kind of just like I seen the pistol, and I was like, oh, let me just write this story about it. But
Mm.
I think that, yeah, I think that plays a role a little bit too, because I am aware of the issue with gun violence and all
Yeah.
of that.
If you from the hood, you know certain things that go
Yeah,
down. So
yeah.
so yeah. Okay, last I'm gonna go with the drawing that I found that was very cute and funny. Is Lois, or some people may say Louise, from Bob's Burgers, doing squats with Jake from Adventure Time. So I like how you made a reference to Jake's transformation ability, where he could turn to different things and become different sizes. So I like how you turned Jake into a weight. So what made you create this drawing, and how often do you actually like laugh or smile at the drawings you create?
Recently, a lot, cause like I don't know, I'll go back and look at them and be like, huh, this is actually because usually I'll do them for myself in the moment, and then I'm like, okay, maybe it could help somebody else too, so might as well just do it. And then I'll forget about it, and randomly one day I'll just kind of be scrolling and be like, oh, I could use this right now because I'm about to go work out anyways.
Mm, okay.
So I'll have those little moments where it's kind of like, huh, nice. For that one, I think I was working out this day. What was that? January 10th? That was this year, right? Yeah, that was this year. Yeah, okay. So I think it was because I had a little break like last semester. So from December to like August or August to December, I had a little break because I was finishing my degree. And I didn't really draw a lot. between that time. Um, and then when I came back to posting, I did like a few posts before that one. But when I came back, I was like, okay, I was doing good with the martial arts and fighting stuff, but I wanted to just kind of like keep pushing another topic. And at the time, it was working out or weightlifting. So I was like, all right, instead of doing a fighting one today, I'll do a workout one because I think I just recently worked out. So I did a squat one. I used specifically Louise or and Jake because the same reason that I know the algorithm will pick it up or at least kind of send it out to more people because those two characters are recognizable. So I chose them for that reason, and I just mixed in the squatting tutorial with it because I was squatting or working out earlier.
Yeah, I guess those squats been definitely helping Louise because she just totally transformed from
Yeah, she
skinny to.
got some crazy quads.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, those are my top three. There's many more, but I could go on and on about the different drawings. But yeah, those were my top three. So let me.
That's it's crazy to like see those as your top three because like I would never expect them to mean
Mm,
much to anyone else. That's the other thing I realized about my art.
mm.
I'll do it because I like it and I'll post it, but it turns out it means way more to somebody else than it did to me at the time. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you be surprised. Like, what's that saying? Like another man's trash is another man's
Yeah, one
treasure.
man's trash is another
Yeah.
man's treasure.
Yeah, I love that saying.
That's that's interesting. It's and then even now as you're describing like my style with the different tutorials, I've always thought of that as I was doing it because I did a whole lot of them. So eventually I'll kind of pick up. Oh, I'm doing a specific thing. I'm doing tutorials of this, and that. But hearing somebody else describe it that way is like, oh, I guess they're seeing the exact same thing I'm seeing too. So it's motivating me to push that a little bit more and expand to different things. So I guess I'm in the right direction with those goals of mine.
Yeah, definitely. Keep doing what you're doing. Maybe you can even have a how to routine exercise for like what is it the I can't think of it. What triceps with using Thanos or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna put that in my list. But I'm literally about to do how tos for everything. How to do this workout, how to do this fighting move, how to ride a bike, how to draw. I'll even do one of those. How to cook chicken, how to make some tenders. I'm about to do everything possible, honestly.
Yeah, and then one day in the future you can make a whole book of it. I know you had a like a recently you had a not recently, but I
It's
think
crazy you
you had a
mentioned that
book.
because that was like my plan. I made the martial arts one, and then the next one is gonna be for activities, or I'm gonna call it a side quest.
Mhm.
The other book I made is like the other one with the martial arts was called Ben Cyclopedia, and then let me see the name for it. Ben Cyclopedia, and then the subtitle was fighting moves or something or martial arts. And then the next one that you just kind of mentioned is gonna be Ben Cyclopedia Side Quest because there's gonna be a bunch of different hobbies people could do.
Yeah. You could literally have your own like series of things. Like that would be sick.
That's the goal, and that's the reason I named it that first book Ben Cyclopedia because it's a little play on the on my name and encyclopedia in general because in encyclopedias they just have a bunch of different things in an encyclopedia. So I
Oh,
kind of mix those together, and I'm gonna hopefully do that. But
that's
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do
hopefully one day
it.
in the future I could get my signed copy from Ben and go from there.
Got you.
Okay. So,
Once I do that, just hit me up and I'll send one to you.
okay, gotcha. All right. So, before I let you showcase some of your work, Ben, just two more questions here. I want to ask, what advice can you give to people out there that are at a low point in their artistic journey, and they don't have any support from friends or family, or they struggle with self encouragement? What would you tell them?
That's one of the hardest things when you don't really have like any outside encouragement to keep drawing. Like, cause for me personally, my family always knew I was an artist, but it wasn't really something where they'd be like, "Oh yeah, keep doing this. I'll get you these supplies. You're doing great." Blah blah blah. It was just like, "Oh, he likes to doodle." They'll just be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, cool. Next thing, right?" So I guess that's something that's kind of hard to deal with as an artist when you don't have a family that supports it or cares about it. So I would say kind of try to find your community outside of your family because you at some point need somebody to kind of motivate you. Because I think art, even though you do it for yourself, you're also doing it to like express your own thoughts to everybody else. So
Right.
it's like you're expressing your inner world to the outer world. That's how I would describe art. So you do need some type of what's that word? Recognition or acknowledgement from other people. So try to find some type of community online. Maybe go to like an art store nearby. Somewhere you need something, honestly. Um, and draw for yourself first, and for the world second. That's another advice I would give because once you start flipping it around, you're doing it for the world first and for yourself second. It's you're gonna burn out quick because you'll lose the passion.
Mm. Throwing some gems
That
right there.
yeah, that's what I could say honestly. Yeah, I don't really got much else.
And so, Ben, focusing on you, what's next for you? What is something you see yourself doing in the next few years, or is there anything you want to get better at? Well, you mentioned that before, but like, where do you see yourself in the future?
Make some books, make some cards. That's another thing we didn't really speak on the cards. I want to really start like pushing that out.
Oh, like trading
Comics,
cards.
yeah, trading cards. A magazine. That's another thing I had it planned for last year, but I got too busy with school. But the
Mm.
magazine is basically going to showcase other people's work because as much as I love showing my work, I think it's better. I love looking at other people's or other artists' work more and going in depth, kind of like how you're doing now. You're kind of like asking me about my process, why I like this, blah blah blah. I like that process too, so I want to make a magazine where I showcase other people's stuff. And this year, I want to get more into like I guess I've been technically making content, but I want to get like more into long form video type of thing, like YouTube.
Okay.
And that's kind of why I did this video with you or the interview because it's like practice, to talk in front of the camera.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so that's one of the biggest goals this year to get into YouTube, making long form content and kind of stem away from just drawing, giving people more value other than just looking at what my work is. You know, I feel like it's more interactive when people can see you doing the work.
Oh
And I
yeah.
got some plans for that. That's the next goal. And then other than that, just keep doing my hobbies, fighting, working out. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Like I always encourage artists, especially on Instagram, to like also transitions their community into the YouTube world of things. So like you guys can get your name in the YouTube algorithm as well, because
Yeah.
you artists, you guys are doing such amazing things, like especially on Instagram. So like to see what you guys do in video format, whether you guys are talking about your work or you're doing how-to tutorials or whatever like that, it just gives uh it's just refreshing. It brings a brand new perspective. So,
Yeah, a different, yeah. And it's good to kind of branch out. You don't want to be in one spot only.
mhm.
Because who knows if maybe Instagram just goes down tomorrow,
Oh dang. Woo.
Then all that is gone. All your work is completely disappeared from just that.
That's true. Wow.
So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
one reason I'm trying to like, go to different platforms.
I guess now, if once you're ready to showcase or share your screen to show some of your cool drawings, I'll let you take the floor.
Uh, I want to start off with some of my favorite digital works that I've printed out and framed.
Okay.
So, like this one is the first one. It was a cover
Ooh.
I made for one of my friends, their cover art.
Wow.
Yeah, this one basically the song was about him pouring out his heart. So you can see the
Literally love it.
metaphor for that. This one was for it's a drawing I made of two well-known artists in at least in my community, I guess. Um, I think one of his name is Clay or Clayouts, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce.
Okay.
And Kill Closure. So I kind of put them together like they're making a deal in a back alley.
I like you got that
This
little
one,
Kill Bill theme going on there.
yeah, this one right here was a collab from like the group chat, but this one was more like not really a collab. I kind of just drew everybody in one.
Oh.
So you could probably see. You said you talked to Nav and who else?
Nas, Gotham Philly, Delusional
So you
Corey.
could probably okay, yeah. So Nas is right here with his character.
Okay.
Delusional Corey is here somewhere. I don't have Gotham Fella in here,
Okay.
but you probably know three image. His little character card is in
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Seven from 760s. Alex right here, and then some some characters from Marvel. So Fantastic Four, Groot.
Awesome.
This was the collab. One of them. It's one of my favorites, so I put that out. That's Jupiter. You probably know Jupiter.
I haven't talked to him yet.
Alec, Alec. Forgot his name. LX Day is how you pronounce it. I think that's how you pronounce it. This one is one of my favorites because it's like one of my most detailed ones, and it was on Procreate.
Oh, cool.
And then my classic fighting posters. This is one for an overhand right.
Mm.
I love the amount of energy in this one. Boom. And then another fighting poster. This one.
Wow.
All right, so let's put those away. Um, Here's a painting, like I think the most recent painting I've worked on.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's that. This is one of I couldn't get this frame, so I had to like laminate it, but it's one of my favorites as well. It's showing like classic black hairstyles, cornrows, and this thing is one of the. It was like my trademark, the halo. I used to do that a lot back then. I kind of stopped, but
Mm.
or at least I didn't stop, but I translated it to a different thing. But I used to love doing that.
Hey Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah, nah, I can't. Are you saying something else?
Oh, I was just making sure you could hear me, but I was saying that's probably something you could do too. How to hairstyles, how to do certain hairstyles too.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I already got that on my list. Because another thing that I don't really show a lot on my profile, I don't think I show it at all, is I learned to cut my own hair like 5, 6 years ago. So I've been like kind of like a barber.
Oh, congrats! That's a big
Yeah.
that's a big accomplishment.
So that I want to kind of showcase that part of me, the hair cutting, fading hair, cornrows, with my art. So I'm gonna start doing like what you said, how to do this, how to do that. Um, what else? My sketchbook. We could probably do a quick sketchbook tour because
Mm.
this, even though it's not really technically a full piece of art by itself, but I would consider it a piece of art because technically I made this cover myself. Like I hand sewed it.
Dang.
I did this for one of the my followers. It was somebody I noticed like would always kind of like support, so I just did it for her.
Aw. Shout out to her.
And this was one of my favorites. I did it for my birthday a few days ago, I guess. And it just includes everything about me.
Mm.
And that's it. I got a whole lot more to fill on here. And last but not least, I don't really show most of my graphic design stuff, but this was a book that I designed in class. I
Wow.
could have done better, but I'm still proud of it, the way it came out. I'm gonna redo it another day, another time. But that's the front cover. Boom, boom. the table of contents, the chapter page, boom, timeline, and then it starts, title, text information, pictures, next page, next chapter. But yeah, I want to do more stuff like this, but like I said, make it more like a magazine to include artist work.
Hmm. Okay. And who was the author of this book?
Um, it should be right here. Pat Kirkman,
Okay.
all things Eames. So it was basically like a class project where we just took all the information from his book and then we redesigned it in our own
Oh.
way.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah, this was fun.
Okay, awesome. That was great to see. I really enjoyed those. Thank you so much for sharing. I was gonna say too, like, hopefully one day you and three image can collab. Like, you do a how to, and then he kind of like lists out the clothes or whatever. Like that. That would be something interesting.
Yeah, we actually had something planned out, but I don't think we ever did it yet. We're gonna do it eventually.
Okay. Well, just closing things out here, Ben. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your art pieces. Thank you for taking a chance on me and my channel, even though it's not big yet. Hopefully, one day, and some more people can be heard and aware about different things. So, I wish you well along your journey, and looking forward to see you do amazing things with your how-to instructions and everything like that. Okay. So, anything?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope to see you grow this project of yours as well.
Yeah.
Um, if you need any help, you probably hit me up about editing all that.
Okay,
But
okay,
yeah, I could see this being pretty big,
okay.
showing different artists, talking to them, interviewing. Maybe you'll have your own podcast one day. Who knows?
You never know, never know. So yeah, definitely. So with that being said, thanks to anyone who's tuned in to watch this. If you support independent artists, such as Ben, please share this video, get it out to as many people as possible. Uh, share and comment your thoughts. And with that being said, hope you enjoyed today's video. See you next time, and take care.
Take care.